So we're living in an age that is just ultra divisive, and there's just seems to be no unity. So Katt Williams talks about politics, and we're going to get into our first sip right after we take a look at this clip.
Division divides. There's no way around it.
How do we get here?
All division divides. There's no way around that. All division divides. Politics, even in the beginning when our Constitution was drawn up, the two parties was not what they had in mind.
No.
They always thought that it would be two main and another independent party. They always assumed the independent party would be just as strong as the others. A lot of that just didn't happen. And that's what I've learned more from comedy is that Republicans laugh at the exact same thing that Democrats laugh at. As long as I'm talking to Democrats, I can make them laugh for 1 hour straight about what Republicans do. By the same token, I can go talk to Republicans for 1 whole hour and have them dying about the stuff that Democrats do. But at the end of the day, who does that? Yeah, your team got an offense and a defense. They're not supposed to be enemies. The enemy is the other side. Well, you can't do politics like that.
And so I think this is a good metaphor for what's going on, especially in our American society, where everybody is just so divided and everything's so divisive. And you can't have any unity if there's so much, if there's not one vision or a singular vision that people are striving for, then there's inherently going to be division. And he talks about how the Democrats and the Republicans, they see each other as, two different teams, but really they're playing on the same team, but maybe they have two different, they're not playing on the same side of the ball, essentially. To use a football analogy, you have a defense and you have an offense. So the defensive players don't play on offense, but they're all on the same team trying to accomplish the same goal of winning and accomplishing that team's mission. And because we don't see life like that, and we see life as this side and that side, then that's why we are in this predicament where everything is so divisive, and we're not seeing people as, human beings. We're seeing people as, they're
chess pieces.
Yeah, they're other than what I am. They're not a part of my group. Now, I do think that you need to establish lines and establish groups and stand for something, right? But you should always be working to encourage people to see your perspective as well as gaining their perspective as well, so that you can further sharpen yours.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the church is supposed to be, essentially people from all walks of life, all lines of thought coming together in one singular place to do what we're called to do, which is to give Christ the glory. And so it's like when we start demonizing other groups of people or other ways of thinking, it's kind of like it defeats the purpose of what we're here to do in the first place, which we have the same goal, but we may have a different way of getting there.
Right.
And that's not a problem as long as we have the space to come together and discuss it.
I mean, that also makes me think of just how denominations have formed as well, whereas we're all at least claiming that we're serving Christ and that we're Christian in our foundation, but we do have different ways of looking at, different things, which is certainly fine as long as the main focal point is aimed at becoming more of the nature of Christ, which I think most denominations at least have that as their focal point. Now, I would say some of them don't, and then you kind of put them like, oh, okay, maybe y'all are a little too extreme. But as long as that is the focus, and as long as you're encouraging people to become more of the nature of Christ, I don't think your traditional rituals necessarily matter, right? As long as it's getting you to focus more on Christ, right? Because you can have a super traditional way of doing things, trying to be true to how other societies have done things, or you can do things more modern. But as long as the focus is on, okay, like how do we glorify Christ for who he is and what he's done in my life and for what I am trying and striving to become in my life, then I think that is the ultimate purpose of, being a Christian. And then that should bleed over to every part of our life. But that's how we persuade people. It's not by force of saying my idea is better than yours
Right.
and condemning people, but it's by showing them your character and being a light in the world that people see the light and they're like, wow, yeah, maybe I wasn't rocking with him, or maybe I was even rude to that person on my encounter, but there's something about them that makes me want to become more like them when they are, just kind of thinking by themselves. Them.
Yeah, I think this is a good topic, especially for this year because it's an election year.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that will all play out, political wise. But yeah, I definitely agree, like, that we should definitely be looking at the different parties as a team rather than like, oh, I'm totally against what they're saying. Rather, we should probably be like, hey, like this side has a good idea, but they could tweak it this way so we could accomplish this bigger goal, which is like the enemy from another country or whatever the case is. So I feel like that definitely needs to change. Will it change? Probably not. Definitely not, especially with different motives, different agendas going on individually within the political parties. But I like the idea. I like the sentiment.
All the ideas from
Yes.